Welcome to Elliott's PT podcast. I'm here to help you find your balance and live your best life guilt-free. I don't believe there is a one-size-fits-all approach for health and fitness. We're all different and we need to find out what works for us. I'm passionate about helping people make realistic, long-term lifestyle changes that they will stick to and they will take with them forever. I don't believe in crazy diets or short-term fixes. We all need to live and find a perfect balance in diet and exercise that suits our individual needs. I want to help you find your exercise mojo, feel great and achieve wonderful things. Here is Elliott's PT podcast by Renae Elliott.
Hello, and welcome back to Elliott's PT podcast. So today I want to talk about macros and why I feel they are the best thing that you could get your head around to learn about food. And I think the more that I delve, the more as I've over the years have delved into food and to understand more about nutrition and how nutrition works for you, it surprises me how little lots of people know. And when you start to count your macros, it teaches you so much about nutrition and it is so important. Now, I'd heard about macros and I'd looked at it a few times, but I looked at it and I went, it's too hard. And then I gave up and I didn't even try. I didn't even try because I felt it was too hard. Then when I had Charlie, I knew that I wanted to breastfeed and I wanted to make sure that I wanted to exercise and I wanted to make sure I was getting enough fuel for my body so that I could produce enough milk to breastfeed and sustain my exercise and make sure that I was doing the right thing by my baby. So that was my motivator. So it was my motivator to get my head around it. And I also wanted to lose the baby weight that I had on me. I wanted to get back to the size I was before. And so I started to delve more into learning my macros. And once I started, I guess the incentive was there to stick to it a little bit more. And once I was like, oh, why did I not do this sooner? Because it's so powerful and it's so great. And so I found it is such an important tool and it wasn't as hard as what I thought it was. It wasn't as hard as what I thought it was. It wasn't as complicated as I had made it out in my head. And I just wish that I had looked at it sooner and not given up all those times that I tried to look at it, but I thought it was too hard. So firstly, if you've never heard of macros or counting macros, what is it? So counting macros is your macronutrients. So they are the nutrients that our body needs lots of. So it is protein, fats, and carbs. And depending on what your goal is getting the right combination of these things according to your goal and where you want to be. And when you start to look at getting the right combination, you'll see how your body will feel better. You'll have more energy. You'll be able to really get the results that you want. But what I love so much of macros is that there is no right or wrong. So you can eat anything. You've just got to make it kind of fit within the parameters. Now, I don't see it as a diet. It is a lifestyle. So when you are looking to get those parameters, you don't have to be exact because life is not exact. But I still go by the 80-20 foods. We want to have good whole foods, but we want to have the whole foods, but we also want to be having 20% of those soul foods because that is what we enjoy. And I believe anyone that has done any diets before, you've tried any diets that has restriction or anything like that, it's not something that you can sustain for a lifetime. So it doesn't work. And you may have done things and you may have lost weight initially, but have you been able to keep the weight off? And if you haven't been able to keep the weight off, then that diet didn't work because you you put weight back on. And what I find with people is they lose weight and then they put weight on, but they go from restriction and they think they've got to restrict and over exercise and all that. And then they put the weight on, but then they put even more on. So they put the weight they were on before plus more. So, and with macro counting, it's not that. So when you start to understand your macros, and it does take time and it takes effort because you have to be putting your food into an app. You've got to put your food into your app and but when you start doing that, you understand so much more about food and understand what foods work for you and your body. And I talk to my kids about eating the right foods. I talk to them about what's a protein and what the protein helps them with, what's a carbohydrate and why that's so important, and what fats are and how they're important for our body too, and how to balance them out. And so my kids are understanding from a young age that they need that nice balance, and I think that's amazing. And they think about having that nice balanced meal, and I'm going to, and I'm educating them as much as I can from a young age, so they can make a great informed choice when they're older. And when you learn more about your macros and you learn to balance it out, there is no real restriction. So we need to eat. You need to eat properly. You need to eat enough food. Anything that is a restricted diet on 800 calories, 500 calories, fasting, 1200 calories, any of those things, it's not enough food for our body. It's not enough food to sustain, to give you the right energy to do the things that you're doing, especially if you're then adding exercise, running, and all of those things on top, walking on top of what you're already doing. People are so shocked when they find out we have a body composition scanner here. You get a scan and you see, what your BMR is, which is your basal metabolic rate. And, so I'm like, you need 1600 calories for your body to function optimally if you're laying down all day and not doing anything. That's not adding in exercise or walking or your job. And, people get shocked by that. So this is why I love macro, why I love, and now that I understand my macros, and I know that I can tweak things according to whatever my goal is. Now, when I first started, I tracked my food all the time. This is something that I've been doing for years now, so I don't track. The only times I don't track now, I go back to tracking if I need to pull my head in a little bit, as I say. If I realize that maybe I've put on a few kilos, if I maybe have more of a goal, then I go back to tracking, but it's not something that I do now. But I understand my food, and I understand the choices I'm making, and I make an informed choice in my head. So I might not be tracking exactly, but only because I've been doing it for years, but I do make little sums up in my head, and I balance things out. So when we're going out for lunch, we went out for lunch yesterday, and I made an informed choice on what I chose for my meal according to how my day was, and according to what I'm looking to achieve, if I've got a weight loss goal or any of those things, if I'm looking to put on muscle or any of those things. So that's why it's just a game changer. It's such a game changer, because you can eat out and not feel guilty for it. And you should never feel guilty about any food, but you can eat out, eat the foods that you enjoy, then be able to go on. You could maybe not feel like, well, I've eaten this, so I've blown my diet, which means I'll then just eat crap for the rest of the weekend, because that's what I find happens. I find people, they might have a meal that they perceive as not healthy or not, and then so they have that and they feel guilty for it, and then they think that they've ruined everything, which you haven't. It's just one meal. They feel they've ruined everything, and then they go and eat, they then go and eat everything under the sun for the next couple of days, and then they so it's not actually that one meal that they ate, it was the choices that they make for the rest of the weekend that blew everything out the window. So one meal is nothing. But with understanding your macros, it's how you can get those foods that you like in, and you can get them in, and so then you don't feel like you need to have a blowout. You don't feel like you're missing out on anything, because you are still eating according to a goal. You're still eating according to a goal. And when what I see happen all the time is people they're under eating. They're under eating, and they think they need to eat less in order to lose weight, and they're under eating. And when they realize, then they're under eating, and then they'll go on times where they feel that they need their willpower to just not eat the food, and it just doesn't need to work that way. And then they restrict for so long, and then they end up binging, and they end up binging, and then they feel guilty, and then that puts them back. It's just this horrible cycle. But if you could learn that, I really love avocado, but if I have a full avocado in my salad, that really blows my fats out. But what about if I have half an avocado or a quarter of an avocado? That does great that's fine, and I'm still satisfied with that, and I actually didn't need to eat that full avocado. Or, the serving size on the back of this packet is actually 45 grams. And I've weighed it out, because yes, to start off with, you need to weigh out your food. I've weighed it out, and I realized that I was eating nearly triple the amount of the cereal, and that, now when I've got the correct portion size, I'm actually satisfied with that, and I don't feel bloated. I don't feel really full. I actually feel my tummy feels really great. And that there's just tweaks like that. Oil. 1 teaspoon of olive oil is 14 grams of fat. So I used to get my veggies, and I used to just pour oil all over the top without even thinking, because they were vegetables and they were healthy. But there can be the oil that you're using that can just blow things out. But when you understand your macros, you know how to balance it out. Instead of using oil, you can use lemon juice. I use water for a lot of things, so that I'm not going over in the oil and those things, because I would prefer to eat my calories than have it in oil. And it's working out those things, and it's letting you understand that, and it's letting you understand more about food and what's the food that truly works for you, and how to get that nice balance, so then you don't feel like ravenous at 5 o'clock because you've not eaten anything all day, and then you're trying to make dinner, and then you just eat anything that you can see in sight. And that's the thing, is sometimes during that time, you might have eaten 1,000 calories worth of stuff. And, but if you balance your food out throughout the day, you realize that, I don't actually feel that hungry. Or now that I'm eating properly, I have more energy. And I can't believe that through eating properly, how much more effective I can be in my workouts and all of those things. So understanding your macros gives you all of those things. And it is so important. And it is a tool that you can have with you for life. Now, the important thing to understand is macro counting is a tool. It is not a diet. And people get in a headset and they make it another diet, because we're always used to being in a diet, and it's not a diet. There is foods that you can eat, and it just balances out, but it doesn't mean you don't have other things. It doesn't mean you don't have, and if you have a goal, like I said, we want to do the whole 80-20, 80% of the good foods, 20% of the soul foods. You make those foods fit in. And I always say to people first, what is the thing that you really enjoy? So I'm a chocolate person. When I first started counting my macros, I told myself I was going to have no chocolate, and I think I lasted one day. Because the more that I told myself I couldn't have it, the more I just wanted it. And I thought about it all day, where I could go days without having chocolate, and I could go days when I have lots of chocolate. It just, just depends on how I'm feeling. And, but yeah, this time, because I think I told myself I couldn't have it, that's all I thought about. So then I was like, no, I need to go back to the drawing board. So I went back to it, and I worked out how I could fit chocolate into the food I was eating every day. So then I had that every day. Then some days I didn't even eat it, but I knew I could. And that's the thing. And that's what it gives you. It teaches you so much about food. I can give you a food plan. And this is why I don't like food plans. I can give you a food plan. You can follow it to a T. But then the food plan ends and you've not really learned anything. But you could take your time, and you could learn to follow your macros. You could learn to include the foods that you like. And you could learn to make them work for you. You could learn about portion sizes, how to adapt your foods to maybe they're not so calorific, but you still get satisfied and you're still eating the things you want. This is only going to support you not only in if you want to lose weight, but weight loss is, it's having energy and feeling good and feeling like you can do all the things you want to do. That's what's really important. And you can learn all of that yourself, and then you can manage it for life. People get a food plan and they follow it and then it ends. They get something else that they've not really learnt. When you learn to understand your macros, you are putting food into an app, which then you can see, oh, okay, this is how many calories this is. I know a lot of the stuff now just off the top of my head, but only because I did the work and I put the work in and I did it. But it's so powerful. It's so powerful to learn. And then when you understand it, you can adjust it to suit you according to what your goals are, according to, if you want to lose weight, gain muscle, if you want to gain muscle, I was trying to gain muscle and I lost weight, right? But when I lost weight, I lost muscle, and that's because I wasn't prioritizing protein, but if you want to gain muscle, you need to eat, your protein and your carbohydrates, and we need to get that right balance of that in order for you to gain enough muscle, and then you can cut it after. It's all of those things are so important. And if you're not eating enough food, if you are one of those people that thinks you need to eat less, you are just going to eat away at that muscle, and the muscle is so important, and it's bloody hard to get. It's bloody hard to get. So you want to make sure the muscle that you have, you're not losing it. You're not losing it, and it's just so important. It is so important. That's why can't believe it took me so long to understand my macros. But once I got my head into it, once I got my head into it and I actually focused on it, it wasn't difficult at all. And it's a game changer. And I know other people that I've taught how to follow their macros, how they've found it a game changer too, that they feel like they say, I can't believe I can eat this much food and I cannot put weight on. I can't believe I can eat this much food and I can lose weight. I can't believe that I'm eating this type of food and I don't feel like I'm on a diet, because that's not what it's about. It's about a lifestyle. It's about a lifestyle. And when you first start to track your macros, or you're working them out according to what your goal is, I ask everybody to put the headset on of a scientist. And it's like we're doing an experiment. So we're going to get all the evidence together, and we're going to work out what works for you and what works for your body, and you're going to adjust it. So we try this and then we adjust. This works really well, great. This isn't working that well, okay, how can I tweak it? How can I tweak it and adjust and then keep moving forward? It doesn't mean that, it didn't work first shot, that means I'm a failure. No, it means that we just need to tweak something else. So I asked you to put the headset on of a scientist, and we don't give it meaning. We give it that it doesn't mean anything about you if you feel like it didn't work instantly. We then start to adjust things. We had someone the other day that they scanned, and they've been doing the program, and they are 5 weeks in, and they scanned, and then because she had been tracking perfectly, I could look at her food and then I could see where she was at, and I said, okay, I think you're under eating in your carbohydrates. We need to add a little bit more. So we were adjusting. It doesn't mean she's a failure. It doesn't mean that the plan's not working. It means we need to adjust things. And this is why it is great. And this is why I ask you to be like a scientist. Don't give it meaning. Don't mean that it means anything about you. It doesn't mean that it means that you're a failure or that you can't do it. It just means things need to be adjusted. Just the same as what scientists do doing a science experiment. They get things, they tweak it, they adjust it. They learn. Everything is a bit more information to learn about yourself. What have you learned about yourself? For me, through tracking my food, through trying things, through failing, because let me tell you, I've had lots of failures. I have learned so much, and now I know how to balance things out. Now I know what works for me. Now I know if I don't have my food planned, then I'm going to end up getting to that 3-4 o'clock where I just eat anything I can see because I'm hungry. If I don't have a protein, a protein shake is something that I get on the go. So if I go to the shops, I need to do things and I haven't eaten, I will go into Coles and I'll buy a protein shake and I'll have that. And then I know that I'm not going to be tempted to buy chocolate, or I'm not going to blow out on things when I get home. But I've learned that I've learned all of those things that work for me, that works for my body through trial and error. and having those times where, but I didn't give up when it didn't work. No, I tweaked and adjusted. I've also worked out there's certain protein shakes that don't work for my body, that bloat me like crazy. There's certain products or, things, and I don't enjoy that. I don't like that. So I won't eat that anymore. I love cashews, but cashews bloat my stomach like crazy. And one day I was eating them because I like them. And then I realized like how my stomach was churning. And, again, I learned these things through trial and error, but I don't give up. It doesn't mean it didn't work. I also, didn't realize I had a pains in my stomach, and I'd been living with that. And I didn't even know. I didn't even know there was a way that I could feel differently. And there is. There totally is. And it's amazing. And food is massive. I really feel that food makes such a difference to everything we're doing. And I think it helps, it affects your energy, how we're feeling, obviously your weight loss, your weight. I think, food can prevent sickness and other things like that. And I think we don't realize how inflamed we are from certain foods. And it's really taking the time and working out what works for you. I had another lady that we've been, she's, been working on a program, and she didn't realize I was measuring her. And I said to her, your tummy looks like it's bloated. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And she didn't understand that she was bloated. And now she started to realize different foods that bloat her. And now she knows there's a different feeling. She's a different feeling from what she had. And it's just the more that you can understand your food, you can pass that on to your kids, you can pass that on to your husband, but you can feel better yourself. And that is what macro counting gives you. It gives you that knowledge. You're learning it yourself, and it's got to be unique to you. We are all different. We can't just follow a plan that someone tells you. You can't just see that somebody has lost weight doing this way, so I'm just going to copy what they're doing because they got results. But they're not the same as you. Their lifestyle is different. Their genetics are different. Their stress levels and sleep, they're all different too. You just can't compare yourself to that person. But when you act like a scientist, when you you work out your macros and you adjust and tweak things to suit you, then you've got a plan that is unique to you and your body, and that you can stick to. There's people that is like, oh, I don't really care about chocolate. They're like, I'm not bothered about chocolate. But then there's people like, oh, I'm a crisp, I'm a more savory person. I'm a cheese, I'm a savory. And it's like, okay, then again, this plan, you tailor that to suit you and what you like. And then it is a lifestyle. It is a lifestyle that you will not feel that you're on a diet, that you feel like you can stick to it forever. And it's great. I love it. And I love that I have this knowledge now. And I want all of you to have the knowledge that I have, and to get the knowledge of food, and that you can make it work for you. I had another lady that I taught her to count her macros, and she worked out she had a specific goal in mind, and she worked out what she needed. On how to handle social situations. So when she went out, that she could still be social, enjoy the time with her friends, but no, because she had this specific goal in mind, not totally blow things out. So she knew when they had a platter, she knew she had looked it up previously of what the things that would still fit into her daily macros and how that would work for her while she was tailoring down or knuckling down for this specific goal. And she did. So it meant that she didn't have to go, oh, I'm on this program, I can't go out, or I can't eat the food, or, oh my God, imagine, people tell me, and I cringe at the thought that they take food to going out and not eating what the rest of people were eating, because they're on a diet. It's none of it's about that. It's about balancing out, learning what works for you, making an informed choice. Like I said, I went out for lunch yesterday and I made an informed choice on what I ate, because I knew if I had a goal in mind, and I knew what would be good for my body and what would make me feel good. also my brother's a chef. It was my brother's restaurant I went to actually, and I know how chefs cook from my brother. They lots of butter and stuff is added into things, and they go for taste, not for they don't think about the exact health benefits of things. But anyway, so this is why I love this, and this is why I have developed my program Macro Balance. So because I want everybody to be able to understand their food, I want everybody to be empowered and be able to make informed choices on your food, not feel guilty for it, get the results you want to get, and not feel like you're on a diet. Not feel like it's something that when it finishes, I'll be able to go back and eat this stuff. No, because this is the food that you'll eat for the rest of your life, and you'll be able to balance out because you're not missing out. You really like chocolate, you can have that. You really like wine, you include that in there too. You understand how it all works for you and your body, and that is what we travel with. It is something I'm so proud of, and it is something that I'm so excited to be able to share with everybody and get you to be able to learn to balance your food out. And so my new program is called Macro Balance. It is a 12-week program where you are given support for the 12 weeks. I teach you how to count your macros, and we go in stages. There's 3 different stages throughout the program, but then when the 12 weeks ends, you will have enough knowledge that you can carry things on yourself, because you will understand what food works for you. You may need to work in cycles, so we may need to, weight loss does come in cycles. It's not just linear. So you might need to, if you are looking for, so we need to see where you're at first. Once we know where you're at, because I can't give you a plan unless I know where you're currently at. So the first week or 2 weeks are actually just tracking where you're currently at. And then from there, we work out, are you under eating? Are you overeating? If you're under eating, we might need to reverse you, which I have done podcasts on that before. So reversing is when we are slowly adding your calories back up to get you to maintenance. And then when we get you to maintenance level, then we look at cutting. We might need to do that for you. That's great. And then you learn to maintain, and then we go on to the next phase. So that's what I'm saying. But this is giving you the knowledge and the power of how you can manage it all yourself, and how you can manage this for the rest of your life. And that's what I'm proud of, because the more that people know, understand their food, understand how it works for their body, because we're all unique, then you can pass that on to your kids. You can live a healthier life. You can live a life where we don't feel guilty, or where being overweight is not something that we can't do anything about. Because those other diets, all those other diets, they are setting you up to fail. Nobody can live on 800 calories. Nobody can. It is not, and they can't live on the little calories. They can't live on severe restriction. And then that's why people think they think that they're a failure, and it's not you, it's the diet. It doesn't work. Those things don't work. But when you can learn to eat proper food, eat enough food, and make it work for you, then that's when you're empowered. That's where you'll get the results, and the results will stay off, and you won't feel like you need to go off the diet and binge on certain foods. It just is what it is. And you can enjoy everything. You can enjoy everything and balance it out. And that's why I've developed Macro Balance, because the more people that understand this, the more empowered you're going to be about food. And I'm so proud of it. I'm so passionate about it. So you can check out my Macro Balance program on my website. I will share the link below, so then you know that it's there if you want to check it out. If macro counting is something that you've already done and you've already done and you've got results from it, please let me know. It's amazing. If it is something that you would like more about, please send me a message, because I'm here to help you with this. So hopefully, if it is something that you've looked at and you went, it's too hard, or you tried it and it didn't work, maybe you were thinking of it with that dieter's headset, and I asked you to think of it from a scientist headset and look at the macros in a different way. And I encourage you to revisit it, because it's so powerful when you start to understand it. All right, I will speak to you all soon. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Elliott's PT podcast. I hope you have been able to find this information of use to you. If you know someone who might enjoy this podcast, please share it with them and ensure that you subscribe so you can be the first to know when new podcasts are released. If you have the time to leave a 5-star review, that would be amazing and it would be greatly appreciated. If you do so, please screenshot and share onto any of our socials and tag us. Then email the screenshot to hello@elliotspt.com and we will send you a free gift to your inbox. Thanks so much. Have an amazing day. Speak soon.